get right into it. First of all, before we get into anything, if you're listening to this audio,
Welcome back.
welcome back. It's been a while for us.
Been a little while.
If you're listening to audio only, go ahead and follow our like Twitter, YouTube. YouTube, you can actually see us, see what we look like.
Yep. Could be a bad call once you
Could be
show
a bad
up.
call.
But it's Post 90 Pod everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, all that. That would be where you'll find us.
Right. Let's get into it, man.
I think we're just stalling to talk about
I
this
do
derby
too.
game.
I do too. I thought of things I should start it off with, and then my brain just went to plug yourself before you can't stop talking.
Yeah, it's bad though. I think we're in a bad place as a team right now, as a club, really. Let's just say across the board. I think just to lead it off with this, I think you would agree with me that we're not at the like Ronny out point.
No.
And there may be people that listen to this that probably just turned us off for saying that.
That's okay.
Because like all I saw after like 40 minutes, maybe after halftime on Twitter was like Ronny needs to be fired now. Like,
Yeah. The problem with that, and I mean, we last episode we kind of explored that mindset, or maybe it was 2 episodes ago at this point. But Ronny can't be on the field to yank James Sands and make him actually mark his man.
mm-hmm.
There's little things like that the coach can focus on in training.
Yeah, I mean, Ronny can't stop people like Morales or Chanel going in for tackles that, probably shouldn't be made, that are going to keep them out of the game that they're playing or future games too.
Right. Or getting skinned alive by a little header and then it's a one-on-one on goal. Those are things that you can't,
We're not trusting Sean with very many
I don't trust him.
one-on-ones
Which,
these days.
honestly, and before we get into like specifics of the game, this game deserved to be more than a 1-0 game.
Mm-hmm.
I think for both sides had more goals in them. So it was shocking that it was a 1-0 game.
Yep.
But we would not have come out on top of that game either.
No.
So,
Yeah, the result would have been the same, but it just would have been higher scoring.
right. And I mean, we could start off with a goal because it happened so quickly. It's terrible to go down that quickly.
Yep.
Especially in a derby game. It can't happen. And especially that way, it seemed like maybe it was something that they trained to head it towards other players, which is smart because we're not aware in the box at all as a defense.
No, you could see the one angle where the camera's in the back of the goal and it's looking out towards everybody. As soon as that ball was played off of the first attacker's head, like none of our players moved until the Red Bull guy had put it in the net.
Yeah, which
Like it was catch up immediately off the first header. It was catch up.
Which is sad because it seems like, there's a culture of somebody will get that. Somebody's gonna step in, right?
And like you said, it was you alluded to it earlier, was that it was James Sands ultimately who wasn't marking his man and cost that goal.
Yeah,
that ended up being the one.
Or
goal
he was the
difference.
closest to that man.
Yeah,
one of those two. I don't know for sure if it was his man.
Mm-hmm. Although he was the closest to run and try to cover him.
Yeah,
once it was too late.
Yeah, this is just mistakes that can't happen
Mm-hmm.
that early. And then going forward from there, I mean, there was some fight in the team, but it just wasn't. It wasn't enough. It wasn't organized. I would have loved to see that Malt shot go in.
Yep.
It looked identical to like Tinnerboom back in the day, where he would just catch volleys so sweet, bar down, like disgusting finish. And I think we're unlucky. We're unlucky that didn't go in because we were robbed of a very special goal. Really, 2 special goals. Because that Tavon ball, I wanted that so bad just because that would have filled Tavon with so much confidence.
Yeah, which clearly we're a side that needs like all the confidence that we can get, because it seems like we just have none whatsoever.
Yeah, well, and especially for a young player, for him to have such an important assist on a disgusting ball, a disgusting run
Yep.
by Santi, it's just, unlucky that the keeper could even react to that. That's an insane reaction. It's a great save.
It is.
But yeah, I mean, it's hard to find words for that game.
Yeah. And the worst part is that it was against the Red Bulls too. Because now, I mean, I'm not sure if this would have allowed us to tie on the season, like in terms of like our record against the Red Bulls and theirs against us. But regardless, that like sealed the deal. Like New York is red, I guess. This for the 2020 season or 2021 season, it's gonna be known that New York was red.
For history, really.
Yeah.
If we're being genuinely honest with ourselves as fans, we cannot. I know there's like the jokes of, oh, they're from New Jersey, blah blah blah. Yeah, but that's cool as long as we're winning or at least keeping up.
Yeah.
And if we saw a graph of all the results, the bar, I believe, would be very red.
It's very
We would
bad.
see very few blue.
Yeah.
And maybe purple would be in the middle.
Yeah.
Of draws.
I guess if we follow basic color law.
Yeah.
If that's a law.
That would be purple. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like we're never gonna be able to get like past these Red Bull fans unless we drop like a 7-0 on them. Because they always just shoot for that. Like it doesn't matter if we win a game. They were just like they dropped a 7-0.
We just need a season where we beat them every time and we win a chip.
Yeah.
Then they can never speak again. We'll never hear them. They'll go back to their little holes in New Jersey with their spray tans on the boardwalk.
Yeah.
And then we'll have our chip. But that's really the only way I can see that ending.
That is quite an unlikely thing to happen. Like what seems like anytime soon.
Yeah.
Like I don't see it soon.
Well, if we had guys like Thiago, doing more than just being a fast guy, I could see it.
Yep.
But we just don't have that right now. It's tough. It's hard to see. Totti didn't score today, and history shows that when that happens, we lose or we draw.
Yeah. And I think it's good in the way. So this loss is good in a way because remember in our episode where we talked about what some people might be saying as excuses to like cope with some of the losses that we were taking, and those things being like inconsistent or not our best team lineups, constant schedules of games and things like that. But now we kind of have the clarity at least to be like, hey, there was nothing. Tinnerholm was the only piece missing from our lineup. And, he hasn't been all there regardless, so that is no longer an excuse. We can't be complaining about packed schedules. We just had 2 weeks off with...
a huge break.
Yeah, a giant break with more than enough time to get everybody back on track after, like, a horrendous run of games. And there's just nothing really to excuse with this one. That's the thing, and that's why I think it maybe seems more serious than some of the losses that we experienced previously, and part of that is because now this is like another stack on top of the losses we saw, but like there's no excuses with this one.
Yeah, like you said, coming off of that break, we had guys like Santi saying of how great it was to get a break because it was so packed for so long.
Yep.
Yeah, but that didn't seem to help us. I think it maybe hurt us.
Yeah, we had it, like you said, everybody was like singing, I don't even know what the word is, like singing praises of like how good the team is looking. Ronny, for instance, saying that during his like pregame with this type of thing, the press conference he does prior. Same thing with pretty much every player we heard of is like, oh, we're refocused, things seem to be going well, we're back on track, and then it's like, well, and that's not true.
The best of them all wasn't even there for the trainings. It was Sean.
Yeah.
And I don't know, and I wanted not that I wanted to, dance on anybody's grave or our graves. But if we're gonna lose to the Red Bulls, why not just have a little "I told you so"?
Yeah.
And it would have been nice, but Sean actually proved me wrong. He played very well.
Mm-hmm.
He played like somebody who was in training, and there was others who were there the entire time who did not.
Yeah, it's tough. This one is super tough.
And it sucks too because on 1-0 loss, there's not much to say other than hey, there's next week.
Well, one thing, there's a few things that are kind of like worrying beyond just what this game is. And I mean, one of the things is the fact that we fell out of playoff contention at this point. We're now below that very, very high relegation line that the MLS has. That's call it what it is.
Beautiful way to get into a point that you wanted to make.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're getting seasoned at this podcast.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. So,
segue, they call it.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
We're so on. I'm on.
now
I'm,
we've just ruined the beautiful transition.
Yeah, but it's the early stage, so we have to point these things out so we can look back later.
We know there's
like,
growth at least.
You see how horrible we were at one point?
At least if the club's not getting better, we are. And that's
Little by
something
little.
fans can get behind.
Little by
Us.
little. Yeah, us.
Yeah.
We will always grow
But
and invest in this.
one thing, I think somebody who's typically pretty prominent in like the Twitter NYCFC community is Tom. I guess we can call him Tommy. That's what his Twitter name is. But he made a very and the jury's out whether or not we agree with it. We can discuss it. But a point that he made today was that things aren't as bad as it may seem, and part of that is because of the format of the MLS. So what he compared NYCFC to is just like a mid-table team anywhere else in the world. Because, as I just alluded to, the relegation line in any other, I don't want to say real league because that's like super disrespectful to the MLS, but like in any other league in the world, the bottom 3 teams, it's like, as long as you're not them, like it's okay.
Yeah.
Like it's not great, but it's not like...
But we are still technically, with that comparison, one of those bottom 3 teams right now, as it stands. Below the relegation line, because if we're out of the playoff line...
Because the MLS relegation line
is so high.
Like it's above half of the table. And that's just in the conference. I mean, if you were to... And I think this is his argument, is like things aren't that bad. And I can sort of get behind it too. I mean, you kind of made the point before the episode when we were talking about this is, yeah, that makes sense. But then we need to stop being marketed as like a top 1 team.
Yeah.
Because genuinely, I mean, part of it is the fact that we're New York City and it's a massive market. But then we're also marketing ourselves as if, we should be in the cup game every year.
Well, I think it's I believe that. I believe we're a victim of the market that we're in. Mm-hmm. The market that we're in is New York. I mean,
doesn't help.
We've talked about it a million times on here, how the fans are, what they expect. So the expectations are there. The marketing obviously is there because we have Big Daddy Man City and all of their marketing geniuses behind us, and the people who are trying to, have a job with us and maybe move up to Man City.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff, and being at, what do they call it, a sister club?
Yeah.
Sister club.
I think we're more like a feeder. Like,
yeah, that's
we're a good place for them to plug people they don't really know what to do with.
So marketing dollars come from us. They don't really go back into us that often. I mean, we are a business of Man City. And so, I would say check your allegiances. I mean, if you really, if you really go that route of loving Man City, and you're New York City first, they're not really kicking it down.
I feel like
I'm just saying,
talking to somebody specific.
I'm just saying in general.
Their name might start with an A, is all I'm saying.
Oh man, there's a few of them in our fan group. I don't know specifics, but yeah, I mean, that's just the truth. They're taking money from marketing us and not really kicking it back down, and I guess that comes with MLS rules and blah blah blah. But
yeah, and by the way, I don't want that to get misconstrued. I don't know if there is another person in the community whose name starts with an A, and you're like,
I was clearly talking about Adam.
They're
Hayes.
talking about me right now. There's no way. So before you hop on Twitter with those Twitter fingers, it's me. I'm him.
He is him.
I'm
but
him.
also,
I'm me.
you don't want war with Twitter fingers.
No. But yeah, the way you're gonna say, the thing with Man City is like they need to start opening the checkbook. I feel like if we want to be in this massive market and we want to compete, when you think of like sports in the U.S., like You have like L.A. And New York,
Massive
Boston,
markets. Atlanta, as you can
Atlanta, and I guess Florida, but not so much, just because all of their teams kind of suck, like in every league. But like, you know, it's those top 4 dogs, and like you said, the people in those markets expect the world out of their team.
Yep.
Like, you need to be competing constantly, and money is required to do that at a certain point. I mean, you know, you can always have, you know, incredible homegrown talent, and hey, look at us. We are the poster child for incredible homegrown talent,
Which takes money, to be fair.
Which does take money.
To be fair, it takes
but
money.
let's come to the conclusion that it takes more than just homegrown talent.
Right,
because we have all of it
so
in the world.
slow.
And look at how we're doing.
It's so slow, that route.
Yeah.
And
it's not, I wouldn't say it's something you could rely solely on. Like, you just can't.
no, because that's what
You have to field 11.
That's what mid-table teams do. They rely on homegrown. I mean,
Look at that full circle right there. Tommy might be onto something.
But yeah, it is, you know, so it is the lack of money, but it is also the expectations that come with being tied to the Yankees and being tied to Man City, 2 very, very successful organizations.
Yeah. Gotta figure it out.
Gotta figure it out. You can't be. And we may. I don't even know what the Australian sister club. I forgot their name.
Oh, Melbourne.
Melbourne.
That's a
They may
dope
even
name
be
for
better
a
than
team,
us.
by the way. Melbourne City.
That is pretty sick.
Let me move to Melbourne and just
We could go see them.
if we could be a Melbourne podcast.
Just hit them up. Be like, hey, you know, we're kind of huge with New York City.
Hey yo, I don't know how they talk down there. That
That
was so
was-
bad. I mean, that was the worst attempt. Anyways,
That was
we have Atlanta, and by we I mean us, the team, and not Chanel,
and not Chanel.
because he got yellow carded, and he will not be playing. So there's about 5 games, I think exactly 5 games left in the season. We're not in the playoffs right now, so
slow.
it's time to really turn it around. Because
Let's live though what we preach. Let's practice it. We said as long as we're there, it doesn't matter.
Oh no, I still feel that.
So
And I'll say, I still feel like we're going to be there. Like, I still do.
is it the time to throw a bet on it though?
No.
With the odds.
Not
favored?
after that 1-0 Derby loss gets scored on in the third
But the
minute.
glory, like throwing money on us winning now, may be pretty nice. Maybe pretty nice.
Well, in 2 days, sports books open in Connecticut.
So in 2 days we're throwing money on it.
I don't know if they're going to even...
We'll do it live
I don't
on
know
the
if,
podcast.
I don't even know if real sports books know what the MLS is. But
That's fine.
We will find out for the people.
But also, how do you, this is a different podcast, but how do you delay sports gambling? Like, can't you just flip a switch and
Indefinitely, by the way.
just like
It was supposed to come on like the 7th, and then they're like, "Hey, it's not coming the 7th. We'll keep you updated, but we don't have any news for you right now."
But it's not like
None.
It's not like banning guns where you have to like. There's a process.
Yeah, you gotta get the guns.
You just say like, "Hey, this is allowed now," and
Yeah.
then the people who had your location blocked unblock your location.
Yeah, you
I
just
feel like
flick the CT switch.
yeah, I just
I don't know. All the legislation was done, but
some old guy had
not
stocks.
politic.
Some old guy had to buy stocks before that could happen.
You're not wrong, bro. Somebody just made bans off FanDuel,
Exactly.
and we'll be the next ones to make bans off FanDuel. So
When we quit our jobs and we do this full time, it won't be because of the revenue from the podcast.
yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
we got Atlanta to, I guess, look forward to. If you can say we're
Now
looking
they got
forward
Joseph
to
Martinez
it,
back,
right?
and we are down a center back. That is going to be a bloodbath.
Down what some might call our best center back. Even me, I'm us. I'm them. Anyways,
We got to get out of here before we start saying Chanel's.
bad. So thank you all for listening, watching.
Post
You
90
catch
on all
us,
things
like we
again.
said, all over the place, and we'll talk to you after Atlanta.
Hopefully, we're in a better mood.
Peace.
Peace.